That's insane. That's even Joe, even you can understand. Sorry, that was so demeaning.
You are unbelievable. You are unbelievable. Even you can understand.
Even your
really
little brain.
You and your stupid little pathetic brain can understand.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Average Joe Football Show. I'm your host, Joe Fair. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Aubrey Graham's
I saw what
favorite football podcast.
I see what you
That's
did
right.
there.
Aubrey Graham. Joe, I'm joined once again, obviously, by my illustrious producer, Joe Thiessen. Joe, why don't you tell them who Aubrey Graham is and why that's so funny?
I just told you.
Right
Before we started, I told you exactly who Aubrey Graham was.
Okay, yeah. Well, I thought you were going to tell me that I didn't know who it was, because I know who it is, and I know his name. Who's Aubrey Graham? Joe?
Aubrey Graham is the Mr. October's very own himself.
October's very own.
Drake.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
So.
Oh, yeah. So, no, it is Drizzy Drake. It is, your boy, the sixth man, Toronto man, sixth god,
Madonna man.
Madonna man?
No, never mind. Oh, he had a song, Madonna. Sorry, I was getting confused. I thought he called himself Madonna for some reason.
Well, that's fine. The boy is what the Raptors call him, I think.
Oh, really?
So Drake, if you're listening to this, I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I was one time at a Raptors game, and you were there as well. I don't know if you saw me. I was screaming and shirtless.
So many people could say that.
No.
So many people in the world could say, I was at a Raptors game. And
not that
you were
many.
there.
In the grand scheme of things, not that many.
Quite a
You
few.
know how many people there are on this planet, Joe?
Every single person who went to the finals last year, the year before, sorry.
So?
Is that your phone vibrating?
Not the people
That's
in
mine.
Not the people in Oakland.
Oakland,
because he wasn't invited there. In the grand
scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of 7 billion people, there's not that many people that can say they've been in the same building as Aubrey freaking Graham. Aubrey Drake Graham.
Do you know how many concerts he's had? How many sold out shows he's
That
played?
doesn't count. A concert doesn't count.
Oh, yeah.
No,
right.
because you're paying to see him.
But also,
we were
he's
just
around,
there. We
he's
just
there.
happened to be at the same place at the same time.
You're so full of it.
You're full of it. You're just jealous you've never been in the same building as Drake.
I have. I've been to a Drake concert.
You have not. Like I
No.
said, that doesn't count.
I wish I had been
Even
to a
if you
Drake
had,
concert.
it doesn't count because you're paying to see him.
So if any guys didn't know, me and no, let me take that again. Yeah.
Loser.
Let's start from the beginning.
Are we retaking this?
We have to retake the whole show.
The whole show. You were saying?
No, it's just you're wrong. But it's okay. Some people can have the wrong opinion.
I'm not wrong. Before we get too far, this is the Average Joe Football Show. I always got to cut ourselves off here. If this is the first time you're listening, that's awesome. Welcome to another episode. I mean, this is your first one, so it's not another one for you, but it's another one for us. Episode 42, Jackie Robinson edition today on the pod. We talk football. Well, mostly I talk football. Joe, my producer, the illustrious Joe Thiessen, he doesn't talk a whole lot of football. He doesn't like football. He actually hates football.
Yeah.
But I talk football, and we'll get to that. We had this super duper, wow, that was lame. A super duper fun weekend of football, the championship weekend. We got so much going on. Trade rumors. I'm talking Senior Bowls happening now. I'm not going to talk that much about that, but I'm excited about it. But we're going to get into that. But yes, I cannot stress enough how much I have been in the same building as Drizzy Drake, the sixth man, the boy. You look like you have something to tell me. You're looking at your phone.
No, it's just today's actually a special day. It's actually a really important day. Like in history, I think
really,
the inauguration happened a while ago, or a couple of weeks ago, days ago.
Okay,
we got a new president. We don't have anything new. But
no, nothing's new here.
The United States of America has a brand new president, fresh off the grill.
Okay,
and,
I'm nervous for where this is going. I don't know what you're doing.
Speaking of politics and presidential things, on this day in history, on this day in the year 1988, President Bill Clinton says, "I want to say one thing to the American people. I did not have sexual relations with that woman,
No
Miss
way.
Lewinsky.
No way.
On this day in history.
That's today?
Yes, in 1988.
Wow. Should we take a moment of silence?
Yeah, maybe.
That's what popped up on your phone?
No, I just like looking up sometimes on this day in history. It's a website. Just tells you what happened on this day years ago. In 1531 today, Lisbon.
Bill Clinton also said the same thing.
He said it again. No, Lisbon, Portugal had an earthquake and 30,000 people died.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I feel like earthquakes don't kill that many people anymore.
I know, but at 1531, what did they have back then? Nothing.
Wow. I don't get. Okay, earthquakes are scary. Never been around one. How does it kill so many people? Does the ground open up and people fall in? Or
Yeah,
do
like
buildings
that one Bible story. No, literally. No, buildings collapsing.
Yeah.
It can cause
30,000. That's insane. How big of an earthquake was this? How do they even know? It was in 1531.
They have records, Joe.
But
so
they don't
ignorant.
have cameras.
Lisbon hit by earthquake, but yeah.
Okay.
Also, 1482 on this day in history, the Pentateuch. I forget.
Pentatonics, I think.
Yeah, that might be the one. The Jewish Bible is first printed as a book in Bologna, Italy. It's about how you spell Bologna.
Bolognese?
Nope.
Okay.
Like the meat, I think.
Bologna, yeah. Isn't that a song?
Bologna.
I
Chicharroni. No, I won't ever do that
How
again.
crazy! Just let me put this in perspective. So, say what was the year 1531 or whatever it was that this earthquake happened in Lisbon.
Not that long after America was discovered in 1492.
Okay, so I don't know time that well, but let's think about 1531. You're in the middle, like you're one of the people that don't die, or even you're one of the people that do die. The earthquake is happening. You're like, this is the craziest thing. Like this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in your life. Like this is huge. And little do you know, hundreds of years from now, the fact that Bill Clinton talked about not having sex with Monica Lewinsky was going to be the most important thing to happen on that day.
On that day.
Like this is not even going to be the most important thing to happen.
Oh my goodness.
That's a little disrespectful, honestly, to the people of Lisbon.
Also, in 1531, 30,000 people. That's a lot of people.
That's
the population of the world. I don't think people realize how different the population of the world was back then till now.
There was a virus that killed almost everybody.
Yeah.
At one point. So
rather than, what would he have? 200,000?
I don't know, man. Not that many.
I don't actually know.
The corona. Are you talking about
coronavirus?
The current pandemic?
It's not millions, is it?
Well, I think in the world it is millions.
Yeah, right.
I'm serious. Look it up.
Hey Siri, how many people have died from COVID-19?
Okay, I found this on the web for how many people have died from COVID-19.
Yeah, 2 million something.
I figured 2 million. But I'm still not sure if it's real.
We're still not totally sure if
we're gonna get into that obviously on today's podcast.
We're gonna be thinking once we get into the off season, we should start getting into philosophy, like Aristotle and Socrates and stuff.
Yeah, Socrates. That was
like Pythagoras or stuff.
Pythagoras, yeah. I was thinking that, and we can also just get into politics right away too.
And we can, the stock market or something.
I'm thinking that politics-wise, one of us should just really get into the alt left, and one of us should get into alt right, and really just hammer at each other. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Just really say offensive things. Make sure both sides are offended.
Yeah, so it's not.
And then when we get a ton of viewers from that, because we'll get backlash, obviously, because that's the goal.
We'll get backlash.
That's the reason why we said that's the reason why you said that you love Cuba Gooding Jr. that one time.
You said that.
Yeah. So when we get all that, we're just gonna turn into a football podcast again, and then people are like, "What happened?"
Whoa! Wait! We'll change the name for a little bit.
The SWAT team is outside of our house trying to arrest us for hate speech. Because
you'd be arrested for hate speech
in Canada. You can, I think. I don't know. That's what people tell me.
What is hate speech? Is that in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms?
I think so. Yeah, you're not allowed to. Technically, I don't think Canada is considered as much a free country as the
I don't think
United States of America.
Freedom of speech is not nearly as free as people actually believe.
Well, in the United States, it's more than. But in Canada, hate speech is very much a thing. Like you can be jailed for speech, which we're not going to get into that on today's episode, but
Also, in Canada, if somebody breaks into your house and you attack them, they can file a lawsuit against you.
okay.
You
That's
cannot. They
great.
can. They if you in seriously in Canada. Think about this. Our own country in Canada. If somebody breaks into your house and even if they're armed, if they don't attack you and you go at them first, they absolutely can file
insane.
a lawsuit. Actually, I don't know. It might be if they're unarmed. I'm not 100% sure. Don't like take that as Bible, but
Don't take anything we say as gospel.
No.
100%.
I said Bible. That's embarrassing.
That's super embarrassing.
No, but yeah, our country's great. Also, doesn't never mind. I got more beef with my country, but we'll leave it for the next one.
We'll leave it for the I Hate Canada podcast.
Yeah, the next startup that we're doing.
That's actually that brings us to a huge announcement. We're moving actually to Texas.
Mm.
Yeah, just like every
I
other great
hate
podcast
Canada.
out there, we're moving to Texas.
Is that where Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan moved?
I thought he was-
Tom Segura and his wife are moving to Texas.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that Joe Rogan was in Montana.
No, Texas.
Oh, good for
Could be
him.
wrong. I think Austin. I think everybody's moving to Austin.
Oh, dude, because just outside.
Yeah, because Lucas Nelson song. Yeah.
That song is fuego.
Yeah, it is super good. If you guys, okay, no, we'll get to
We're
the
gonna
song
shout out-
recommendations.
We're gonna shout out Lucas Nelson as if he doesn't have enough.
Well, yeah, it's like we talked about Drake on the pod, like as if he
yeah.
needs more.
So if you guys have never heard of Drake, go look him up. He's got a pretty good. He's got a lot of good hits. One called The Motto. One's called 6 Man.
6 Man. He's got one called God's Plan. I'm talking. He's got one called
Don't know if you heard it, but he's got one
6
called,
Upside Down. It's a 9 now. It's a little bit of a mouthy song. It's a lot to
It's
talk
definitely a mouthful.
about.
but,
Mouthful.
It's great.
Yeah.
He's
So
got
it's
that
just-
one in high school.
Chit Chat Ting, Better Talk Nice.
Yeah, he's got that
one.
song called Chit Chat Ting, Better Talk
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, exactly.
Got that one song called Little My Bed and My Mama, I'm Sorry.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one's really good.
This is a new segment where we name
We just name things, but they're not right.
but they're wrong.
Before we get into football, and we really should at some point get into football.
We're not.
I do have one more thing I want to talk about, and I don't know why I want to talk about this, but I did. This weekend, Conor McGregor was fighting. I don't know if you are aware of that.
And he got beat.
Yeah, he got
hard.
beat up.
Yeah.
By Dustin Poirier. I think it's Dustin Poirier. I'm not a huge UFC fan. I did stay up to watch it. I don't know why.
You did.
I did, yeah.
Where?
In just at my house.
It was free?
By myself.
Oh, you're one of those people.
Okay, Dana White's gonna find me.
I know he's going to find you. I
Dana
knew
White,
it.
if you're listening to this, I paid for the pay per view. Okay? All right.
Get
Also,
it.
if you're listening to this, Joel, can we bleep out his last name? Joel
Sure.
is the one who sent me the stream. So go to his house. His address is.
You can't do that.
That's his address.
You can't do that.
No, I want to cover myself. Okay.
No, I have to edit now.
But basically, I was watching UFC and he got beat. And I don't know if you know Jake Paul. Jake Paul's the worst one. Which one? Oh, they both suck. But Jake Paul really wants to fight Conor McGregor.
Yeah, he does. Yep.
And Jake Paul had a reaction, and I never watched it with the sound on. I just saw him laughing, and he was apparently he asked Conor McGregor originally if he wanted to fight for tens of millions of dollars, and then when he saw that Conor McGregor got beat up by a UFC fighter, he was like, "Oh, just kidding! It's now a $10,000 fight because I guess essentially Conor McGregor's not worth it now because he got knocked out by a UFC fighter." I hate Jake. No, and I'm a Christian, so I don't hate anybody. Obviously,
Hate anybody? That guy sucks.
that guy sucks. Jake Paul. I don't know how. This guy gets so much confidence, and the main thing I want to get to. I hope that they do fight one day. This is not the main thing that I want to get to. This is a side note. I hope that they do fight one day because I want Conor McGregor to punch him in the face hard.
Yeah.
But I just love Jake Paul because one video I saw of him. He was sitting on a beach and he had women in bikinis around him, obviously. And he's got the chain and he's tattooed up and he's got the hairstyle and he looks like a rapper or something.
Okay.
And there's a plane that flies by. It has Conor McGregor scared of Jake Paul or something like that. But it just blows my mind that Jake Paul and I know he's a boxer now too, so that kind of makes him a little bit more badass because he beat up Nate Robinson.
Oh yeah.
But I love that he acts like he is the coolest thing in the planet when he's famous for making videos where he's like, "What's going on, guys?"
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I know
Like
what
he's
you're
not
saying.
cool.
No,
like the
he's
things
not.
that he's like the reason he has his money is not cool.
No.
He made bad jokes on Vine, and he turned that into being unfunny on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then he was just a kind of a little douche to his neighbors.
He
on
wrote
YouTube
off his
as well.
brother for so long.
Yeah, and it's like, and I'm not saying I'm cool. Okay, I'm not. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I don't act like I realize how lame a podcast really is.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like
And his older brother has one, Impulsive.
Yeah. Okay. We don't need to promote that. We've done enough promotion already.
Oh yeah, I'll bleep it out.
But yeah, let's talk. Jake Paul. Let's relax, man. There's a lot cooler. Like Conor McGregor is a much cooler person than you.
Yes.
I would say because he literally beats people up for a living.
Yes, and he's pretty good. Well, he's not as good as he used to be. Obviously, he's been losing.
But he's good at it, and you light mattresses on fire and throw them in pools.
Is that what he does?
Yeah, that's what he did to his neighbors. Were pretty pissed at him because he did that. I think. I don't know. I just see these on.
I just work here.
I just work here. And speaking of working here, why don't we jump into some football? What are your thoughts, Joe?
Do we got news?
We have a little bit of news this week.
A little bit of news.
We're gonna get into some news. We're gonna talk some championship football. We're gonna talk a Super Bowl matchup. That's right. Haven't even talked once so far about the fact that we have our Super Bowl matchup right now. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands, but
It doesn't matter because nobody can see.
nobody can see it. That's what
And
I'm
it
talking
doesn't
about.
matter.
We might, if we get to the end of the episode, but I'm feeling it's going to be long this time, so maybe we won't get to it. But I was going to talk. I was going to go back and look at my predictions before the season of the awards, and then see how they stack up to what I think is going to happen now. Spoiler alert: a lot of them are not good. But why don't we just, without further ado, why don't we just jump straight in to some news? First up in the news, we have the Eagles finding a head coach. It looked like it was going to be Josh McDaniels.
Who did they get?
They got a little guy named Nick Sirianni.
A little guy?
Well, I don't know how tall he is, to be
Nick
honest.
Corleone. So what's this guy like?
Nick Sirianni. To be honest, I don't know much about him. He was the offensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts. The Philadelphia Eagles are in love with Frank Reich, who is the current... I knew where you were gonna go as soon as I said Frank Reich. That's you stop it. That's offensive. No, you got to stop that.
Sorry.
Okay. Frank Reich. He was the former offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles when they won their Super Bowl. Got along really well with Carson Wentz, so they go out and they sign his offensive coordinator as their new head coach, Nick Sirianni, 39 years old. Not bad. Pretty young head coach. Does this mean that Carson Wentz is staying? I don't know. I would be curious to know what Eagles fans think about this. It would be nice if we had Joel on the podcast. Joel would. I'm sure that he would not be on board with Carson Wentz coming back, but it definitely will be intriguing to see if they brought him in to maybe get Carson Wentz back to what he was at before he got injured during that Super Bowl run. And if he is there to help bring back Carson Wentz to prominence, what do they do with Jalen Hurts? Because I don't think Jalen Hurts is a guy that can sit on the bench now. I think he played well enough to where he can be a starter, even if, I'm not going to say he's going to be an elite quarterback this upcoming year, but I think he's deserved a shot to be a starter somewhere. So definitely a lot of intriguing things. I'm going to see how many times I can say intriguing and interesting on this episode as well. But definitely a lot of interesting things happening as far as the Eagles go. And speaking of more head coaching news, all of the head coaching vacancies are filled except for the Houston Texans. And the Texans fired Bill O'Brien back in week 4 already. Still have not found a head coach. Obviously, they have a ton of drama going on with the Deshaun Watson situation. and with the Eric Bieniemy not bringing him in for an interview, but now they do bring him in for an interview. And now they actually interviewed Josh McCown, who's currently a quarterback on their roster right now. That's weird. That's the craziest thing I've heard as far as these coaching interviews go. A guy who is signed on as a player got an interview for the head coaching job. A lot of people not happy about that. Josh McCown has zero coaching experience in the NFL, and he's a white guy, and he's getting this interview, and then they weren't even going to give Eric Bieniemy, who a lot of people are unhappy is not getting a job. They're not going to give him, who is an African-American fellow, they're not going to give him the chance to get an interview. It's not a good look. I mean, come on, Texans, you gotta be able to just to read the room a little bit to see how that looks, even if it's not a racist thing. And I don't want to get into it whether or not you think it's a racist thing that Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach. Like I said, that's not my place to say that, but it's not a good look. It's definitely not a good look. So just another thing to add to the list of stupid things that have happened to the Houston Texans in the past calendar year. And going on from something stupid to something incredible, Greg Olsen, the tight end for the Seattle Seahawks, formerly of the Carolina Panthers and Chicago Bears, announces that he's calling it a career after 14 seasons in the NFL. And I didn't really realize how good of a career Greg Olsen has actually had. In 14 seasons, he is fifth all time in tight end receiving yards. That's not bad. Top 5 all time. He was actually the first tight end in history to have 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons in the seasons 2014 to 2016. He has called it a career, an incredible career for Greg Olsen. I know it didn't end the way that he wanted it to. He said in his statement he's disappointed he never got to win a Super Bowl, but still an incredible career. And he was kind of one of the key tight ends that in the past 10 years were kind of that new age tight end. And I know we had guys like Tony Gonzalez, guys like that that kind of changed the way that people looked at tight ends. But Greg Olsen was, along with guys like Jimmy Graham, guys like Travis Kelce, guys like that who completely changed what the modern tight end was, and being a much bigger part of the passing game. And I will obviously always think of his career with the Panthers. That's where I think Greg will be the most remembered, and deservedly so. His career there with Cam Newton in Carolina was a memorable one, and they came just short of winning a Super Bowl. But he is joining Fox to be an analyst this next upcoming year in the NFL. So cheers to a tremendous career for Greg Olsen. You're now one of, I would say, top 5, maybe top 3 most famous Olsen in the world. Joe, thoughts?
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Second or third.
Who's more famous, Mary Kate or Ashley?
Mary Kate.
Mary Kate?
Yeah.
Okay. They're Olsens, right? Yeah, the Olsen twins. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, because that would be an awkward thing. Do you actually know the difference between them two, those two?
Please.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That was a stupid question. Anyways, moving on to the next and final part of the news. This was a big piece of news that hit just before this weekend and the games hit, which we are going to get to after this. Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions reportedly have come to an agreement that they will mutually part ways after this season. This came sort of as a surprise. I mean, in his exit press conference this last season, it did seem like Matthew Stafford was kind of a guy that seemed like he knew his time in Detroit was coming to an end. But it's always surprising when a quarterback as good as him is potentially moving teams, especially at 33 and with his contract not yet being up. To me, this is one of the biggest names on the market, and now that he's available. And Adam Schefter is reporting that there are already teams that are calling. There are already teams that are very interested in bringing in Matthew Stafford. I love Matthew Stafford. I've talked about that for years. I think that Matthew Stafford is incredibly underrated, and it happens all the time in Detroit, a team that hasn't been good for very long. Great players get hidden there in Detroit. And Matthew Stafford, he's a guy that just throws for 4,000 yards every single season. And I think put on the right team, he can absolutely take a team to the next level. You got to think about teams like San Francisco, Indianapolis, even New England. There's so many teams I think that could benefit from Matthew Stafford. Denver, the New York Jets, potentially, Carolina Panthers, Washington football team. Any team with a quarterback need should absolutely look at Matthew Stafford, especially contending teams. The two teams, to me, that make the most sense, and I would be willing to bet a decent amount of money that he ends up on one of these teams, and that's the San Francisco 49ers and the Indianapolis Colts. With the Colts, we saw what they did with Phillip Rivers last year. I think, bringing in a veteran guy, a guy who's already developed, a guy who knows how to play the quarterback position. I think this is a better version of what they had in Phillip Rivers. Not to say that Matthew Stafford's career has been better than Phillip Rivers, but where Matthew Stafford is at right now in his career is much better than where Phillip Rivers was at last year. I think if he goes to a team like Indianapolis or he goes to a team like San Francisco, they are absolutely Super Bowl contenders going into next season. And obviously, San Francisco still has Jimmy G. There's been a ton of talk that they're ready to move on from him. A lot of reports that San Francisco is monitoring the Matthew Stafford situation, and they'll be closely paying attention to that. So I would love to see him go to one of these teams. The QB market coming up in this offseason is going to be insane. I mean, last season, I remember talking partly on the podcast, there seemed to be a ton of teams that just had their quarterback situation kind of figured out. And it's crazy how in one season that has totally flipped. And now it seems like there's so many quarterback vacancies, and there's going to be so many quarterbacks, I think, both in the draft and in free agency that can fill those vacancies. It's going to be a wild offseason. I can't wait to see where Matthew Stafford ends up. I think he gets traded before the new league year starts. Obviously not officially traded, but they can agree to terms on a trade. I think he will get traded before a guy like Deshaun Watson, if Deshaun Watson does get traded. So it'll be cool to see Matthew Stafford get a shot to potentially play for a Super Bowl contender. Moving on to what was a wild championship weekend. I think I say that about every week, but every week's wild in a wild NFL. And this week was not different whatsoever. We had two tremendous matchups. I mean, the games maybe didn't turn out as good as some had hoped, I think, but the matchups were definitely incredible. I think we had the four best teams remaining in the NFL facing off on championship weekend. And that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it seems like, maybe one of these teams doesn't totally deserve to be here. But I honestly felt going into this weekend that these four teams were the best teams and absolutely deserve to be in championship weekend. And we're going to talk about what happened, what went down here on championship weekend. And we are going to talk about the Super Bowl matchup eventually. And we're not going to get too much into previewing the Super Bowl because we do have an episode between now and the Super Bowl, because obviously there's that week break in between championship weekend and the Super Bowl. So we won't preview the Super Bowl, but we'll get to talking about it a little bit. But we're going to spend this episode talking about what happened on championship weekend. The first game that we had was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Green Bay Packers. And this was a fun game. At times it looked like this might turn into a blowout, and at times it looked like this might be a shootout. And I think we got a little bit of both at times here in this game. Two teams with incredible offenses, incredible talent all across the board. And this was a game where, in the beginning, Tom Brady, on that first drive for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, comes out firing on all cylinders. And I remember Joel, my good buddy Joel, who we talk about all the time on this podcast, we're always texting about football, so much that it makes my wife a little jealous, I think. But we're texting, and I'm telling Joel from the get-go, when Tom Brady's throwing these dimes and they go down the field and score right away, and Leonard Fournette is running well, I'm telling Joel, Tom Brady's been doing this for 20 freaking years. This is what this guy does. He wins playoff games, and they get up to a lead. The Green Bay Packers kind of start off a little hot as well, but just before the half, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are up 14-10, and then with about 13 seconds left, I believe, at midfield on a 4th and 3. I want to say 4th and 3. The Buccaneers have the ball. They're originally going to punt the ball away. Bruce Arians calls the punt team off the field, decides he's going to throw a pass, which I love, by the way, aggressiveness. That's going to be a huge theme in this week's episode, aggressiveness. Those who had it and those who didn't have it. And everybody that knows Bruce Arians knows that he absolutely does have it. And that's what happened here at the end of the half. With about 13 seconds left, Tom Brady takes a snap, fires deep to Scotty Miller, who burns Kevin King, who was just returning from injury, and scores with 1 second remaining on essentially a Hail Mary. I don't know how, as a how the Green Bay Packers defense can allow that to happen. It's very reminiscent of the Jets letting the Raiders score on the final play a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago. That's like the one thing you cannot do as a defender in a situation like that. There's one play firing to the end zone. You cannot let your guy get behind you. Scotty Miller did get behind him. He played a tremendous game. And at that point, at halftime, down 21-10, that was a devastating way to end that half for Green Bay. And then just to add insult to injury, they start off the third quarter with the ball. Aaron Jones gets stripped of the ball for the second time by Jordan Whitehead. Tahir Whitehead was the linebacker for the Lions a few years ago. Jordan Whitehead forces a second fumble of Aaron Jones. This one's picked up by none other than Devin White. And then the Bucs go down the field, immediately score a touchdown. So it's 28-10. And all of a sudden you're thinking, oh boy, this is going to be exactly like week 6 when these teams played each other last. And it was a even start, a good start for Green Bay, and then Tampa Bay just ran away with it. And down 28-10, things were bleak for the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay ended up battling back to within 5 points. And to me, the biggest thing in this game for Green Bay, the reason why they could not pull out the victory was missed opportunities. They just missed opportunities, and aggressiveness just wasn't there. In the second half, Tom Brady, like I said, in the first half, Tom Brady played amazing. Everybody was singing his praises. He played a tremendous first half. In the second half, however, it was a bizarre Tom Brady second half. He threw 3 interceptions in that second half, to which the Green Bay Packers scored only 6 points off of those. So that was one missed opportunity. Only getting 6 points off of 3 turnovers. And Tom Brady's not a guy that turns the ball over a lot. 2 of those drives after those interceptions were 3 and outs. So that's awful. And then at the end of the game, like we said, Green Bay brought it to within 5. Tampa Bay goes up and kicks a field goal. So now it's back to 8. Aaron Rodgers had what seems like one last drive to drive down the field and tie it up. They're in scoring position, 4th and goal at the 8-yard line with 2 minutes and 9 seconds left, and Matt LaFleur decides to kick a field goal, understanding that he has 3 timeouts and he has the 2-minute warning to play in his favor. So essentially 4 timeouts. But still, when that happened, I texted Joel and I said, that's game. That feels like game, I think is exactly what I said. That was such a lack of aggressiveness by Matt LaFleur, a lack of trust in Aaron Rodgers, the MVP of the 2020 NFL season. I don't understand how you don't at least attempt to go for it there. Even if you don't make it, the Buccaneers are now backed up in their own end, and you have those 4 timeouts, but now you kick a field goal, and you're only down 8. You had a chance to tie it. I understand if you were down by 10 and you needed a field goal now, and then you needed an onside kick to tie it up, but you're down 8. You score a touchdown, 2-point conversion. It's tied up. This game's going to overtime. But now you give Tom Brady the ball back. Tom Brady, the guy that's done this a couple times, you give him the ball back with 2 minutes left, and you say, we're just going to hope to God that Tom Brady doesn't run these 2 minutes off. And that's exactly what he does. Buccaneers win 31-26. And I mean, Packers fans are going to be kicking themselves. And Packers coaches, Packers players going to be kicking themselves for the way that this game ended and all the missed opportunities. This is another missed opportunity for Aaron Rodgers. He will not make it to his second Super Bowl. But Tom Brady going to his 10th Super Bowl. I know everybody's singing Tom Brady's praises right now, and I'm going to do the same. As a guy who has hated Tom Brady's guts for almost his whole life, I've learned to, as I've gotten older, to respect Tom Brady, and not just even because he's in Tampa Bay. I remember his last couple years there in New England. I was kind of turning on him and realizing, okay, this is something special that we're witnessing, and I feel genuinely bad for people that still make a hobby out of hating or trying to discredit Tom Brady, because it must be exhausting. I see people on Twitter saying Tom Brady's the luckiest quarterback ever. He just gets so lucky every time his defense bails him out. He's so lucky. If you want to genuinely tell me that he's lucky to get to 10 Super Bowls in a 20-plus year career and win 6 of them, and potentially have a chance to win a 7th, sure, he's lucky. There's no way luck plays into that. And yes, he was helped out a lot by his defense in this game and by mistakes by Green Bay. But if you think for a second Tampa Bay is in the spot where they are right now to go to the Super Bowl without Tom Brady, you're crazy. Bruce Arians himself said the reason that they got to this, the reason that they believed they could get to this point was because of one man, and that was Tom Brady. And just a tremendous amount of respect goes to Tom Brady. What he's been able to do over this career is insane. He's had literally, you could chop his career up into 3 parts, and he'd be a Hall of Famer in all 3 parts of it. And it's tremendous. In 20 plus years, he's made it to 10 Super Bowls. He's got twice as many playoff wins as the next closest guy. And this is just what he does. He's just a winner. You can talk about him, being the greatest athlete of all time or whatever, but when it comes to wins, nobody compares to Tom Brady. He like I said, he's been doing this for 20 freaking years, and who knows how much longer he has. He literally played one of his best seasons ever at the age of 43. So tremendous credit goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and to Tom Brady, who now has the exact same amount of NFC championships as Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. So a little salt in that wound right there. And then moving on to the second of the championship games. Joe, this was the game between. I want to get you involved a little bit.
The Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I'm listening.
the Saints.
Ooh.
No, hold on. They were out last time already.
Yeah. They're in a different conference too.
Doesn't matter what conference they're in. It's all just a game, right?
It's all just stupid anyways.
Yeah, it's just a dumb sport. I honestly couldn't even tell you. So many teams.
Really? Who the Chiefs are playing? They're one of Joel's teams.
Oh, the Browns.
No.
The Bengals. Oh, my goodness. The Bears.
No.
I'm kidding.
You said every B team
Yeah.
except for the one that it is. It starts with a B.
Browns.
No.
Oh.
Please get it right this time.
No. Is that the Bengals?
No.
No. Sorry. I said that already.
This is insane. I didn't even know there was this many teams that started with B.
Oh, my goodness. I'm really drawing a blank here.
Oh,
Give me what it starts with.
with a B.
I know. With the
2 B's. The city starts with a B, and the mascot is a bee as well, or like the logo is a bee, or the animal. Joe, their colors are red, white, and blue. Mostly blue.
Oh my goodness.
Josh Allen plays for them. I know that doesn't help you at all.
The Bills.
The Bills.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry that I did that. If I would have known that that's where that was going, I wouldn't have asked you. I'm sorry I put you in that situation.
It's fine.
Oh my goodness. Yes, the Bills or the Bengals or the Bears or the Browns or the wow, that was a lot of B teams. That was insane. They played the Chiefs. They fell short of the Kansas City Chiefs. 38-24 win for the Kansas City Chiefs. This was a game that started off like a lot of Chiefs games and a lot of Chiefs playoff games started. The Bills come out hot. They're up 9-0 early on. And it's funny how I'm sure everybody in America with a 9-0 lead didn't feel any different about the Kansas City Chiefs because a 9-0 lead is essentially nothing against the greatest offense we may have ever seen in the history of the NFL. In the blink of an eye, the Chiefs go on to score 21 unanswered points. And then Kansas City, Buffalo was still competitive at points, not giving up, not laying down. But Kansas City, after that 21 unanswered, essentially ran away with this game. Credit to the Kansas City Chiefs defense, who played well against an extremely talented Buffalo Bills team and Buffalo Bills offense. And, Buffalo's offense has not been quite the same during these playoffs as they were during the postseason. So, make of that what you will. But you could also say they've played some good defenses. But Kansas City's defense was not supposed to be good. But they held Stephon Diggs to 4 receptions for 28 yards going into the fourth quarter. And that's unheard of this year with Stephon Diggs. He was unstoppable, him and Josh Allen together. So that was incredible. And then getting 5 sacks on Josh Allen, I would say the hardest quarterback in the NFL to sack. I mean, he is like a literal buffalo back there. He's so hard to sack. And it seems like every time they sack him, and this is a Josh Allen thing, I think. Josh Allen, for as amazing as he is, and he is a tremendous quarterback, what he has done this year, and what the Bills did this year, before we go on any further, because we're going to talk a lot of Chiefs. The Bills should be very proud of what they accomplished this year, where they got to after decades of misery to make it to the AFC Championship game. Tremendous season. Josh Allen was amazing, an MVP candidate. But the thing about Josh Allen is he doesn't take sacks very often, but when he does, it always seems like it's for a loss of 23 yards. Like, it's just an incredible, brutal sack. And on those 5 sacks, he lost a combined 53 yards. That's over half the field that he lost on those sacks. And this was another game where the losing team's coach, lack of aggression, I think, played a factor in them eventually being defeated. And you can say, the Bills never really had much of a chance in this game. And without offending or trying to offend the Bills, I would say that's kind of true. I mean, and that's not a knock on the Bills. I think Kansas City is just at another level, so much higher than any other AFC team. But Sean McDermott, he had made some weak decisions in this game. I mean, he kicked a field goal with a ball on the Kansas City 2-yard line on 4th down. They were down 21-9 at that point. He kicks a field goal. That was weak, I thought. And then from the 8-yard line, 24-12 was the score. So another 12-point deficit. He kicks another field goal in the third quarter. I mean, I don't know if anybody told him who the Kansas City Chiefs are. You're not going to beat this team making field goals. You have to, in order to beat the Chiefs, you have to have a perfect game. And it looked like it might turn out to be a perfect game for the Bills early when they scored the first points. They got a field goal. And then Mecole Hardman fumbled the punt. And then they got the ball, immediately scored a touchdown. It was like, okay, the Bills might pull this off. But they were not perfect. You got to play perfect. And then you got to be a little lucky, I think, to beat this Kansas City Chiefs team. And you have to be aggressive. And there was no aggression by Sean McDermott. I thought Sean McDermott was coaching scared, and as good as a coach as he's been, potential coach of the year, that was weak. But as far as Kansas City goes, like I said, I think this team is just at another level. I think people were underestimating them somehow. They remind me so much of the peak Golden State Warriors, and I might have talked about this on the podcast already, but when the Golden State Warriors were at their peak, and I mean, I'm thinking of even before Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, when they were first coming onto the scene, and they just seemed unstoppable. They were doing things that the NBA's never seen before, hitting all these threes, and teams were like, how do we stop these guys? That's what the Chiefs feel like to me. They just have weapons everywhere. I mean, Mecole Hardman had the fumble, just was devastated by it. And they say, okay, we're going to get Mecole Hardman involved, and he's going to score and be a huge part of this next drive. And he was. He had a 50-yard run, and then they capped it off with a touchdown pass just because they decided, yep, we're going to focus on him this drive. And they couldn't be stopped. Even my own wife noticed how dominant this Kansas City Chiefs offense was. She was saying things like, do the Buffalo Bills even want to stop this offense? Because it looked like that at times. This Kansas City team is just so fast, so dominant. And that's the reason that they're back in another Super Bowl. They're trying to be the first team since the 2003-2004 Patriots, who featured a little guy named Tom Brady on their team, to win back-to-back Super Bowls. And in a little crazy, insane stat, Patrick Mahomes will play in his second Super Bowl before losing an NFL game by double digits. That's insane. That's even Joe, even you can understand. Sorry, that was so demeaning.
You are unbelievable. You are unbelievable. Even you can understand.
Even your
really
little brain.
You and your stupid little pathetic brain can understand.
Can
this.
understand how insane that is.
Course.
Isn't that insane? He hasn't lost a game by double digits since college.
Wow.
And he's playing in his second Super Bowl. That's insane. I mean, we can talk about, like I said, Tom Brady, the greatest to ever do it. I think he's the GOAT. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. And that's not taking anything. I still am saying Tom Brady is the greatest NFL player of all time because of what he's done over 20 years. But I've never, ever seen somebody play the quarterback position as well as Patrick Mahomes has played it. And that's why it's so exciting to have the young GOAT versus the old GOAT. It's going to be it's almost a passing of the torch, but you better believe Tom Brady's not ready to give that torch to Patrick Mahomes. And I think we're going to talk so much about this Super Bowl matchup, but I'm just stoked to watch this Super Bowl matchup between these two teams, these two incredible quarterbacks, the greatest player of all time, and a guy who's played the quarterback position better than anybody I've ever seen. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes has to do things over a career over a long period of time to get to that point where he's the greatest of all time, like where Tom Brady is at right now. But just talent-wise and playing the position, I've never, ever seen somebody single-handedly dominate the quarterback position like Patrick Mahomes. And that's why this matchup is going to be so incredible. And like I said, we're going to talk all about the Super Bowl on next week's Super Bowl Extravaganza. That's right, it's a party.
Wow.
Joe. Super Bowl Extravaganza next week.
I can't wait.
Who knows? We might have guests on. We might have a musical guest. There might be a halftime show. It's going to be an extravaganza. I'm going to bring out a party platter. We're going to order pizza. It's going to be a party, man. Super Bowl Extravaganza. And you're playing chess. I thought you messed up the recording again.
Sorry, I thought I had checkmate, but I didn't.
Oh, he didn't checkmate. Joe plays a lot of chess now.
You went to.
Speaking of chess, though. Speaking of chess, why don't we just quickly wrap things up with what we were talking about at the beginning? And I'm just going to go through.
You're going to do all your picks?
All my picks through every single week of the season.
Nice.
See how I did. Yeah. No, I'm just going to look back. The season is ending. And obviously, like I said, next week we're talking exclusively Super Bowl. It's going to be Super Bowl or bust, baby. The 2020 NFL Awards, the NFL Honors, is happening just before the Super Bowl. So we probably won't talk too much about it next week. So I want to quickly go over, not a lot of people like to be held accountable for the things that they do. And I don't really either. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at some of the predictions I made for these awards in the NFL and see how they turned out and see who I think is going to win now. Just real quick to close things out. So why don't we start things off with the defensive rookie of the year? My preseason pick for defensive rookie of the year was Chase Young. I would say, looking back, that's a good pick. I would say, if I had to guess right now who's going to win rookie of the year, it's Chase Young. Chase Young had an incredible season. He started off a little slow, but really came into his own late there for that playoff team, that Washington football team. He had 7.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. He also had a touchdown. So a good, solid season. You could consider guys like Jeremy Chin, I think, Antoine Winfield, Jr., those guys can be considered there. But as far as I'm concerned, I think Chase Young will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. So a little bit of a self-high five on that one. Got that one right. Boom. On to the next one. Offensive Rookie of the Year. My preseason pick was Joe Burrow, the first pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. And that pick wasn't looking bad through the first few weeks. Obviously, he ends up tearing up his knee. And then a little guy named Justin Herbert came in and dominated rookie records. And I think he's going to win. I think it's basically a lock. He's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I got that one wrong. Justin Herbert played 15 games, 66% completion percentage, 4,336 yards. 4,000 yards for a rookie is just insane. So credit to him. 31 touchdowns. That's the most by a rookie ever. Also 5 rushing touchdowns. So I didn't get that one right. But then moving on to Defensive Player of the Year, my preseason pick was TJ Watt. That was also a fairly good pick, I would say. I don't think it's right now. I would say that TJ Watt is top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year voting. I think he'll end top 3, maybe even top 2. If it were up to me, if I was picking who's going to win, I would say Xavier Howard as a biased Dolphins fan. But I do think they're going to give it to Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald had an insane season, 13.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 28 QB hits. But come on, 10 interceptions is something that's just doesn't happen. I mean, you look at Xavier Howard's numbers, they're better than Stephon Gilmore's numbers last year when Stephon Gilmore won Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm just a biased, bitter Dolphins fan. I think Xavier Howard should win it, but I think Aaron Donald would win it. And in the end, I was wrong altogether because I thought TJ Watt would win it. But overall, not a terrible pick. And then on to Offensive Player of the Year. My pick, and this one's rough. I picked Christian McCaffrey to win Offensive Player of the Year, and he was injured almost the entire season this year, so we didn't get to see a whole lot out of him. Almost forgot that Christian McCaffrey even exists because we saw so little from him this last season. But I think that award's going to go to Derrick Henry, another running back. Derrick Henry was just the 8th running back in history to go over 2,000 yards. He put up 17 touchdowns and was just overall a dominant hurricane of a man this season for the Tennessee Titans. I think that'll earn him Offensive Player of the Year. And then on to Comeback Player of the Year. I picked Alex Smith to win this because Alex Smith is going to win this despite not playing in the playoffs. The fact that he was even able to step on a football field after what happened to him is incredible. Hats off to him again. He will win Comeback Player of the Year. Got that one right. Little self-five again. Boom. And then we move on to Coach of the Year, and this was probably my worst prediction. Well, these next 2 are probably my worst 2 predictions. So for those of you that have been listening to this podcast for a while know that prior to the season, I was very, very high on the Dallas Cowboys. I thought, listen, every year there's a team that takes everybody by surprise, and they go to the Super Bowl, and it's just a huge surprise. I thought that was going to be Dallas this year. I thought they were going to be a dominant team. I had them in Kansas City in the Super Bowl. That was my pick. So my pick for Coach of the Year was none other than Mike McCarthy of the Dallas Cowboys. I would be willing to bet my mortgage that he's not going to win Coach of the Year, and that was not a very good pick. It was looking like he might be fired at times this year, so that was not my finest pick I've ever made. I think that will probably go to Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. You could think of guys like Brian Flores potentially to get it as well, but I think Sean McDermott, if I had to put money on it, would be the winner of the Coach of the Year. And then the MVP. And like I said, I was very high, guys, on the Dallas Cowboys. And my MVP pick going into the season was none other than Dak Prescott. And if you look at his numbers through the first, 4 weeks, that pick looked pretty good. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys sucked as a team, but Dak Prescott had video game numbers. But then he snapped his leg in half, and that ends up not being a very good pick. It's going to go to Aaron Rodgers, despite not having the best ending to his season. Aaron Rodgers is going to win MVP, so that pick was not fantastic. So overall, my preseason picks, I get one, two. I get two right. Two right. That's pretty good. Out of 7. I've seen better days, but overall, could have been a lot worse. And I think this episode could have been a lot worse, Joe. I had fun today. I don't know about you.
I did. It was a lot of fun.
Sorry for demeaning you again, but it's just becoming sort of a thing on the podcast.
It's all right. It's
I gotta
fine.
put you down so I can feel bigger because I'm the host of the show.
You gotta step on my shoulders so that you're taller.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I already am taller.
If you're not already 6'3".
Yes. Sorry.
5'10".
Say that louder into the mic.
You're 6'2", and
I'm sorry. Say the right height this time. Excuse me?
Really?
Yeah.
So you're 5'3" and I'm 5'9".
I'm 5'7", and Joe's 5'5". So we're both very short.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm 6'3". Anyways, Joe, anything you want to say to the listeners before we wrap the show up?
Please come save me.
Joe has me.
Joe is so mean to me all the time.
Yeah, so somebody come save him and bring him onto a podcast that he...
that I actually enjoy. Anyways, so actually one thing I would like to say that is that if you guys are looking for a good show to sit down and watch, a good show that's going to blow your mind.
Oh, wow.
It's just going to be like, wow, this is a great episode. Like, this is a great show. Then you got to watch The Queen's Gambit.
Really?
You got to watch The Queen's
Gambit.
Gambit.
It's about time you're on The Queen's Gambit.
You haven't even watched The Queen's
Gambit. No,
I
know, but you just like chess, so I figured you would eventually get into it.
Also, if you guys want to play me on chess.com, please
what's your username?
Reach out to me. It is...
Joe plays a lot of chess now, so chess.com. This is a real thing. You have a username you want to play against people?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me get my my thing up here. My username is Joe T Son, so JoeTson.
All one word?
All one word. That is my username. I don't have a profile pic yet. So far it's just a white pawn. So
Jesse, if you're listening to this, I know you don't actually listen to the podcast this long because you don't like football. But Jesse, who's a friend that we share, loves to play chess, and I'm sure he would play you in chess.com.
Jesse doesn't like play chess.
Oh yes, he's big on chess. So Jesse,
I did not know that.
And anybody else that wants to play and school Joe in chess.
I'm not actually good. I just really enjoy the game.
No, he thinks he's really good, people. He really does. Speaking of really good, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, on whatever you listen to this on. Make sure you do good by us, whether it's a 5-star rating, whether it's a subscription.
Thank you for saying a subscription. Last time you said whether it's a subscribe.
Really?
Yeah, you did.
That's awful.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
Whether it's a subscription, it sounds like a paid thing. It's not. It's free. You literally, all you have to do is subscribe, and you automatically download our podcast. Downloads are huge for this podcast. You have no idea how much we appreciate it when you subscribe, when you share with a friend. If you enjoyed the podcast, if you got a laugh out of it, if you enjoy the football talk, follow us on Instagram _Average Joe Show, and also on Twitter. Maybe I'm still trying to figure things out. So I had 2 Twitter accounts.
Really?
I had the _Average Joe Show, and then I had _Joe Fair _ and I wanted to delete the Average Joe one and just have one, and I was going to make that the Average Joe one.
Oh,
but I deleted the Average Joe one, and I will not let me use that username. Even though that the account is gone, I can't use the _Average
Can you do
Joe Show
different
anymore.
variations of it?
Well, yeah, but they're all taken, all the good ones. So I'm going to try to figure that out. Hopefully I can get it, because if you look up the username, now, it's just so it's profile not available. So it's like, then let me have the profile. But Twitter won't let me do it, Jack. Jack's the guy who invented Twitter.
Oh.
I don't remember his last name, though.
Roosevelt.
Yeah, Roosevelt. again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you had as much fun as we did. Super fun time right now. A lot of what?
Super fun time.
Wow, dude. Okay. What it is? It's a super fun time right now in
I
the
guess
NFL.
you're right. Yeah,
the Super Bowl's happening in little less than 2 weeks' time. We're going to talk all about that on next week's Super Bowl extravaganza. That's right,
It's going to be a live 3 hours thing, I think.
14-hour live in Walmart. We're actually going to hide in Walmart overnight. I'm serious. It's going to be great.
Tune in at 12 a.m.
12 a.m.
That's when it starts. That's when it closes. I don't know when Walmart closes.
Nobody does. Thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you guys on the next one.